On a quiet Saturday afternoon in Berlin's Prenzlauer Berg district, the Lehmann family was enjoying what seemed like an ordinary day until it wasn't. Jonas, with his dark hair and sharp, curious eyes, was playing with wooden blocks in the living room while his parents, Miriam and David, tried to catch their breath from the usual weekend rush. The warm smell of freshly baked bread filled their small apartment, just a few kilometers away from the Brandenburg Gate. Then everything shifted in an instant. Jonas suddenly dropped his toys and froze by the window, staring toward Teufelsberg Hill. "Mom," he whispered, his voice calm, but carrying something far beyond a child's world. "I just watched a body disappear." Startled, Miriam hurried to him. She had picked him up earlier from his new kindergarten. Drying her hands on her apron, she asked gently, "Where were you, sweetheart?" Jonas's reply chilled the room. "At Jesus' tomb." There were 3 Roman soldiers outside. One of them was named Marcus. "He had a scar right here," he said, pointing above his eyebrow. When the light appeared, they all fell to the ground. "I saw everything from inside." Miriam's heart skipped. Jonas knew absolutely nothing about Christian history. They never even discussed the subject at home. David rushed over and held him close. "And the light, what was that, son?" Jonas answered with unsettling certainty. "It wasn't like sunlight, Dad. It felt different." The stone shook. "Then I saw a symbol, a circle, some lines, and 3 dots. That symbol matters a lot." David's hands began trembling. The details Jonas described were far beyond what any child his age could possibly know, and even renowned scholars had never documented some of the things he mentioned. That night, none of the Lehmanns slept. Jonas drew the symbol on a piece of paper with the precision of someone who had seen it 100 times before. His parents, overwhelmed and unable to explain what happened with modern logic, decided to investigate. David contacted Dr. Anton Kessler, a family friend and professor of archaeology at Humboldt University. The next morning at 10:30, Kessler arrived with a notebook in hand. For nearly 2 hours he questioned Jonas. The boy described the topography of Golgotha in the year 33, as if he had stood there himself. He said the tomb had 2 chambers, not one, as everyone believed. He even mentioned that the stone sealing the entrance weighed 563 kilograms, and he recounted all of it calmly, with absolute conviction. The stone's weight and the way it moved were enough to send chills down Kessler's spine. Jonas was describing details that didn't exist in any popular text, details so specific that even seasoned archaeologists wouldn't know them. "Jonas, how do you know all this?" Kessler finally asked, his hand trembling as he pushed his glasses back into place. The boy didn't hesitate. He held the archaeologist's gaze and spoke with a certainty that felt far too old for his small body. "My hands touched the stone. Even at noon, it was cold." The room seemed to shift. Jonas's voice, albeit a different cadence, deeper, almost melodic, as if borrowed from another time. His words flowed naturally, yet they carried the tone of someone who had lived centuries before. Kessler recorded every second. Later that day, he sent the audio files to Dr. Lena Schmidt, a linguist at the Max Planck Institute specializing in ancient languages. Her reply came 23 hours later. "Anton, this shouldn't be possible. The child is speaking a form of Galilean Aramaic from the early centuries. He even uses idioms that appear only in small fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls. There is no way he learned this. Bujorm akademik keverlerd biukbur sarsintjarde." That night, Jonas once again drew the mysterious symbol in his room. Moonlight illuminated the paper, making the lines shimmer eerily. In the living room, David and Miriam sat hand in hand. silently accepting that their lives had crossed a threshold from which there was no return. After the first interview, Dr. Kessler shared his notes online, and within hours the world had taken notice. On Monday, April 15, 2024, ZDF aired an 8-minute segment on Jonas. Within 3 hours, the video had gone viral. It showed Jonas sitting on a couch, calmly answering journalist Klaus Meier's questions, an interview that ignited a social explosion. Over 2 million people joined the conversation on Twitter. The scientific community immediately split in two. Michael Bergman, a neuroscientist from Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich, posted a blog entry claiming, "This is most likely a case of cryptomnesia or implanted memories." But not everyone agreed. Dr. Simone Weiss, a child psychologist who had been observing Jonas closely, responded, "No pathological fantasy or dissociation case presents with this level of emotional coherence, detail, and consistency. His descriptions don't match his developmental age at all." Then, on Wednesday morning, something even stranger happened. After finishing his breakfast and placing his bowl aside, Jonas calmly said, "The symbol," it was 1 meter and 20 centimeters beneath the stone, was recorded. Miriam finally relaxed. Dr. Kessler was no longer alone. A team of 3 archaeologists, supported by experts from various fields, had turned the grounds beneath St. Michaelis Church into a remarkable scientific site. Christian, Jewish, and Muslim authorities had all reacted cautiously at first. But the media pressure soon became impossible to ignore. At 6:15 p.m., the team began scanning the area using advanced 3D laser systems and endoscopic robotic cameras. The images broadcast live to millions confirmed Jonas's words down to the smallest detail. There it was, the symbol carved into limestone, a flawless circle intersected by precise, elegant lines. The livestream reached 47 million simultaneous viewers. In the Vatican, Cardinal Heinrich Falkenhorst called for an emergency session. In Berlin, David Lehmann once again faced the blinding lights of the cameras. For the first time in over 2 millennia, a belief that had always depended on faith was showing signs of physical evidence. On Thursday morning, diplomatic vehicles lined up in front of the Lehmann's building. Papal envoy Father Johannes Richter arrived accompanied by Dr. Elena Muller, a Vatican theologian and archaeologist. Richter spoke in impeccable German. "We are not here to judge. We are here to understand." The Catholic Church had officially decided to take part. For centuries, the resurrection remained purely a matter of belief, until a young boy from Berlin offered clues that might anchor theology in reality. That same morning, Pope Francis sent a message. If the child speaks the truth, everything changes. Professor Jakob Steiner from Oxford University landed at Berlin-Brandenburg Airport with a specialized team of 12 experts, historians, linguists, physicists, and memory researchers. It was one of the most significant interdisciplinary gatherings in modern history. On Friday, Jonas was brought to the German Archaeological Institute. Before entering, he whispered to his mother, "They will ask me about the light. Tell them it wasn't magic. Science can explain it, but they don't have the right words yet." On the drive to school, Jonas suddenly looked eastward through the window. They must dig in the garden of St. Michaelis Church. Not only inside. Something is there to 4.7 meters deep. He said nothing more. Soon after, under the roots of an olive tree, the team uncovered a stone box. Inside were 3 objects, a fragment of cloth, an oil lamp, and something far more important. Everyone in the vehicle went silent. Kessler sat in the passenger seat, overwhelmed by the weight of what he had just witnessed. Authorities and international experts mobilized at record speed. Jonas's measurements were accurate to the millimeter. The excavation would begin Monday morning. Monday, April 22nd to 5:30 a.m. 200 reporters and camera crews from 40 countries gathered in the garden of St. Mike Ellis Church. The archaeological team pushed deeper into the dig site. Jonas's remarkably specific directions had narrowed the search to the northern side of the olive tree, exactly 4.7 meters below the surface, just as he'd said. Online viewership surpassed 89,000 people. At 11:27 a.m. the excavator stopped. From here on, only manual precision tools could be used. At 2:15 p.m. a startled shout echoed from the bottom of the shaft. "We found it!" Cameras dropped down immediately. Dr. Kessler and the team managed to capture clear footage of the object at a distance of just 40 centimeters. The stone box was rushed to a sterile laboratory at Humboldt University. At 6:30 p.m. a special broadcast began under notary supervision. Clergy, scientists, and specialists gathered to examine the contents together. Inside were exactly 3 items, just as Jonas had described: a fragment of fabric featuring a herringbone pattern typical of Judea, an ancient oil lamp, and a narrow metal cylinder about 5 centimeters long. Mass spectrometry results revealed something stunning. The fabric dated to the lifetime of Jesus, falling within a 25 to 40-year range. The metal cylinder, however, was the real shock, gold traces and casting marks from a technology unknown in the 1st century. But the true anomaly was the oil lamp. Its inscription read, "To illuminate the 3rd watch of the night. No profane eye shall witness the miracle." Microscopic engravings covered the metal cylinder's surface. They were so fine that only advanced magnification could make them legible. Dr. Julian Brand, metallurgist at the Technical University of Berlin, commented, "The precision of these engravings requires tools that simply did not exist in the 1st century. This is a technological anomaly." That night Jonas sat with his notebook, leaning against his mother's shoulder, and drew the engravings in perfect detail, including elements that had not been publicly released. "These are numbers, Mom," he murmured. "Coordinates. They point to somewhere important." On Wednesday, April 24th, Max Planck Institute specialists began decoding the microscopic inscription. Using electron microscopy and digital 3D imaging, they uncovered a sequence of 47 symbols, a hybrid of Aramaic letters and numerical markers. Dr. Lena Schmidt was the first to interpret the code. "This is a geographical system, one based on the position of the ancient temple in Jerusalem. The coordinates pointed 2.3 kilometers south of the Temple Mount, in a region heavily built up since 1967. On Thursday at 10:15 a.m., Jonas was brought into a conference room where attorneys Professor Jakob Steiner and the full research team were present. With his eyes closed, Jonas spoke as if watching a movie in his mind. "There is a chamber, 3 meters underground. The walls have inscriptions in Greek, Aramaic, and Latin. And in the center," Jonas continued, "there's an altar stone with dark stains on it. It's important because something drips onto it from above." A natural crack in the ceiling connected the chamber to another cave. Then Jonas added the sentence that made everyone in the room go silent. "They kept the writings there." The testimony of those who witnessed the transformation of the body. On Friday at 4 a.m., the drilling team began its work. The property owners approved the excavation after receiving a €1,000 symbolic compensation and a legal guarantee of historical preservation. At 9:47 a.m., the drill broke into a hollow space. Endoscopic cameras slid through, revealing exactly what Jonas had described: a chamber, roughly 5 meters across, with Greek, Aramaic, and Latin inscriptions on the walls. Entering required extreme precautions. At 12:22 p.m., Dr. Kessler and Dr. Muller became the first to descend in full protective gear. What they found exceeded every expectation. Behind the central altar stone sat a carved vessel sealed with layers of wax. The inscriptions on the walls, written in 3 languages, recorded the testimony of the tomb guards. One Greek passage read, "At dawn on the 3rd day, while the stars still shone, the stone trembled though no hand touched it. A light like fire, yet not fire, tore through the darkness. The body wrapped in linen began to glow, changing before our terrified eyes. No flesh remained, no bone, no blood, only light, passing through stone and into the air." On April 27th, the vessel was transferred to a secure conservation chamber at the Pergamon Museum. 30 international experts began the official opening and analysis process on April 30th. Meanwhile, the world was erupting. Conspiracy theories exploded online, yet the physical evidence contradicted them. That same day, Jonas underwent an fMRI scan at Kuwait Hospital. Neurologists were stunned. Cognitive neuroscientist Professor Beno Fogg told reporters, "Jonas's neural activation pattern does not resemble memory, imagination, or any typical cognitive process. There is synchronized activity across sensory and memory regions at a level we've never recorded. This suggests the experience is not fabricated." During the Monday evaluation session, Jonas suddenly paused a drawing test and said, "The 5th scroll has a map on it. It shows where the drops fell." Museum staff had indeed located the 5th scroll using a 7mm entry point. Drawn in iron gall ink, the diagram appeared to mark a path or a site. Professor Steiner swallowed hard. "How did you know this existed?" Jonas answered softly, "Because I saw the man drawing it." His name was Marcus. He had a burn scar on his right hand. He watched the drops of light fall from the place where the body had been. Then he walked 40 steps east and found something that terrified him. He buried it so no one would find it, except someone in the future who needed to follow the drops back to the truth. That's why he made the map. Carbon dating placed the scroll at nearly 2,000 years old. When mapped digitally, the topography perfectly matched ancient Jerusalem. The spot indicated was now beneath a modern parking lot. For 19 days, Steiner's team was officially commissioned by the Israel Ministry of Antiquities. The coordinates supported by Jonas's testimony, map references, and geological assessments received authorization within 72 hours. This 3rd excavation was expected to be the most revealing of all. At 6:30 a.m. on Thursday, May 2, asphalt at the Alexa shopping center parking lot in central Berlin began to be removed. A local entrepreneur, Stefan Keller, publicly announced that he would fund a large portion of the excavation, drawing massive attention. By 10:35 a.m., the team identified the first major anomaly at a depth of 6 meters. More than 400 journalists were on site, and over 150 million people were watching the live stream. Jonas waited with his parents and a team of psychologists in a secure observation area. At 2:47 p.m., excavation machines stopped, and archaeologists switched to manual tools. At that exact moment, Jonas stood abruptly. "You're about to find a bronze vessel. Don't open it fully. The substance inside collapses when exposed to oxygen." Dr. Kessler relayed the warning over the radio. At 4:18 p.m., a 30 centimeters bronze cylinder sealed with a metallic lid was retrieved from the dig. It was rushed to a hypobaric chamber at the Max Planck Institute. Witnesses and cameras observed as the vessel was stabilized and opened under controlled atmosphere. Inside was a crystalline material, suspended like shining particles in an oily liquid. Next to it lay a torn fragment of parchment, once unfolded and translated. The parchment revealed a single line in Aramaic. When heaven speaks, the light becomes flesh once more. The discovery stunned even the most skeptical experts. Analysis of the crystal and its contents shocked the scientific community. Dr. Werner Meyer, a materials physicist from the Technical University of Berlin, said, "This substance has no known analog. Its molecular density demonstrates an energy concentration we have never documented on Earth. Under electron microscopy, the crystal shows perfect geometry. Storing it alone is beyond anything modern technology can replicate. If such a technology truly existed in the first century, it would rewrite the history of science." Despite the chaos around him, Jonas remained unusually calm. His last words before falling asleep were, "Morgen erzähle ich wie man liest. Was im Crystal ist." Tomorrow I'll show you how to read what's inside the crystal. On Saturday, May 4, at 5:30 a.m., Jonas came downstairs holding a new drawing. The page displayed a complete schematic, geometric symbols paired with mathematical ratios. "This is what you need," he said, pointing at the diagrams. Crystals respond to specific light frequencies. Information appears when you use 7.8 Hz with a 430 nanometer laser. At 9 a.m., Dr. Meyer and the physics team assembled. They tuned a diode laser to Jonas's values, combining the Earth's natural Schumann resonance frequency 7.80 Hz with a 430 nanometers violet beam. In a specially prepared optical chamber, the experiment began. 15. Around 3 p.m., the crystal finally responded. At first it was just a faint vibration, then suddenly the material projected a four-dimensional beam of light. Symbols, patterns, and complex geometric shapes floated inside the hologram. Cameras captured every second. The projections showed what appeared to be historical events: a body wrapped in linen beginning to glow, cells transforming into pure energy on a molecular level, light waves unfolding in precise patterns. A process with no equivalent in modern science. The holograms were not only visual, they formed a mathematical language. Geometric models represented relationships between physical forces. Dr. Meyer and his team documented everything for 12 straight hours. By Sunday morning, one conclusion was clear. The crystal demonstrated the exact mechanism behind an energy transformation long considered impossible. It provided physical evidence for theories modern physics had only speculated about. At a press conference, Dr. Meyer said, "This is essentially a manual. A guide showing how a biological structure can undergo a transformation similar to antimatter annihilation." But that wasn't all. Among the projections appeared a sequence showing future dates, astronomical alignments, and geographic coordinates. Watching from home, Jonas whispered, "This is a prophecy." His parents froze. For the first time, they understood that this phenomenon wasn't just about the past, it reached into the future. On Monday, May 6, 2025, the world stood still. Religious leaders, scientists, governments, and global organizations convened emergency meetings. The Vatican called an extraordinary council. Delegates from over 200 nations joined discussions on the unprecedented discovery. And in the middle of it all was one child, Jonas Lehmann, under heavy security. He addressed representatives from 91 countries with a 45-minute speech. His closing sentence became one of the most quoted lines in modern history. "I did not come to prove that miracles exist. I came to show that what we call miracles are processes science has not yet learned to understand." Jesus' body did not vanish through magic. Nature transformed him using the deepest laws of the universe. And it will happen again, not with one person, but with many. When humanity is ready. Understanding isn't just something the mind does, Jonas once said. Because we are not only flesh and blood. We are light, energy, and consciousness. Months of analysis revealed even more astonishing information. The crystal contained coordinates for 12 future transformation events spread across the next 2 centuries. The locations included spiritual and historical sites in India, Peru, Egypt, Japan, and several other regions. Each event was linked to rare astronomical alignments. Dr. Kessler compiled the data into a book titled The Boy's Witness, Where Faith Meets Evidence. It quickly became one of the most influential academic works of the decade. Dr. Muller delivered a 4,000-page document to the Vatican, prompting deep theological reconsiderations across the global Catholic community. Meanwhile, Jonas's life in Berlin emmankayan oldakunka normal kaldi. He played soccer at school, made new friends, and occasionally visited research institutions for short evaluations. From time to time he gave controlled interviews, explaining in his calm, simple way the thin line between the divine and the natural. The artifacts displayed at the Pergamon Museum drew millions of visitors. The crystal, along with the light droplets phenomenon, continued to be studied in laboratories across 15 different countries. Every test added a new, previously unknown layer of understanding. And humanity is still trying to comprehend the truth, revealed by a 6-year-old child, that the greatest mystery in Christian history may not have been a supernatural interruption of nature, but a natural transformation science has yet to fully decode. To many researchers, this discovery opened the first real doorway into understanding the deeper potential of the human body and consciousness. Maybe miracles were never distant after all. Maybe they were the quiet language of the universe, a language we are only beginning to learn how to read.